Everybody, and today class is on the topic the doctrine of harmonious construction, and it is a unit in the interpretation of statutes, which is second year second semester course. Let me see what are the contents in this topic. And the contents of this topic is principles laid down under this doctrine, goes with the introduction and decided cases at the end conclusion. Before I could start my online lecture, let me quote Plato quotation. No law or ordinance is mightier than understanding. I repeat, no law or ordinance is mightier than understanding. That is the Plato's saying. Now we will come to the introduction of the topic. Harmonious construction is a principle of statutory interpretation used in the Indian legal system. It holds that when two provisions of a legal text seems to conflict, they should be interpreted so that each has separate effect and neither is redundant or nullified. In other words, the doctrine or the rule of harmonious construction is adopted when there is a conflict between the two or more statutes or between the parts or the provisions of the statutes. As per this doctrine, the courts try to avoid conflicts between the provision of the statutes. The doctrine follows a very simple rule that every statute has made for a purpose and a specific intent as per law, and it should be read as a whole and interpreted accordingly. Thus, the provisions are so interpreted that the conflict between the two statutes or its provisions is avoided and each of them is given effect. For this purpose, the scope and meaning of one may be restricted so as to give meaning also to the other. So, the aim of the courts are number one, an interpretation which makes the enactment consistent. Number two, a construction which avoids the inconsistency or repugnancy between the various sections and the parts of the statute. However, in the case in which it shall be impossible to harmonize both the provisions, the court decision shall prevail. The Kelly, a well-known author, according to the Kelly, constitutional provisions should not be construed in isolation from all other parts of the Constitution, but should be construed as to harmonize with those other parts. When there are two provisions in statute which are in apparent conflict with each other, they should be interpreted such that effect can be given to both and that the construction would render either of them inoperative and useless, should not be adopted except in the last resort. Now we will see what the doctrine of harmonious construction explains. According to this rule, a statute should be read as a whole, and one provision of the act should be construed with the reference to the other provisions in the same act so as to make a consistent enactment of the whole statute. Such an interpretation is beneficial in avoiding any inconsistency or repugnancy either within a section or between a section and other parts of the statute. In the landmark case of CIT versus Hindustan Bulk Carriers, the Supreme Court laid down the 5 principles of rule of harmonious construction. The 5 main principles as follows. Number 1. The courts must avoid a head and clash of seemingly contradicting provisions, as they must construe the contradictory provisions so as to harmonize them. Number 2. The provisions of one section can't be used to defeat the provisions contained in another unless the court, despite all its effort, is unable to find a way to reconcile their differences. Number 3. When it is impossible to completely reconcile the differences in contradictory provisions, the court must interpret them in such a way so that effect is given to both the provisions as much as possible. The fourth, court must also keep in mind that interpretation that reduces one provision to a useless number or a dead lumber is not a harmonious construction. And the fifth one is to harmonize, not to destroy any statutory provisions or to render it loose. These are the 5 points where the Supreme Court made in the interpretation of the statutes, especially in the construction of the harmonious construction is concerned. As explained by the Supreme Court in the above case, when there are in any enactment 2 provisions which can't be reconciled with each other, they should be so interpreted that if possible, effect should be given to both. A construction which makes one portion of the enactment dead letter should be avoided, since harmonization is not equivalent to destruction. The principle of harmonious construction is followed or given below. The principle is illustrated in the case of Raj Krishna Bose versus Vinod Kamango. I repeat, Raj Krishna Bose versus Vinod Kanungo, that is Khanungo, Kanungo and others. In this case, two provisions of Representation of People Act 1951, which were in apparent conflict, were brought forth. Section 33, subsection 2 says that a government servant can nominate or second a person in election, but section 123, subsection 8 says that a government servant cannot assist any candidate in election except by casting his vote. If you see the two sections which are contrary to each other, the Supreme Court observed that both these provisions should be harmoniously interpreted and held that a government servant was entitled to nominate or second a candidate seeking election in state legislative assembly. This harmony can only be achieved if section 123 subsection 8 is interpreted as giving the government a servant the right to vote as well as to nominate or second a candidate and forbidding him to assist the candidate in any other manner. If this interpretation is given over there according to the section 123 subsection 8, then the conflict will be resolved. The court stated that it is usual when one section of an act takes away what another confers to use a non-obstante clause and say that notwithstanding anything contained in section so and so, this or that will happen. Otherwise, if both sections are clear, there is a head-on clash. It is the duty of courts to avoid that, and whenever it is possible to do so, to construe provision which appears to conflict so that they harmonize. In the words of the apex court, the court should avoid a head-on clash. The consistency should be presumed and should not be assumed that what is given with one hand by the legislature would be taken away by the other provisions. The principle of harmonious construction should be applied to statutory rules, and courts should avoid absurd or unintended results. It should be in consonance with the intention of the rule makers. Rule of harmonious construction is applicable to the subordinate legislation also. And before we are going further, let me give you a common example. And before the marriage, my father says to me, please return to the house before 9 p.m. I said p.m., not a.m. Yes, after my marriage, my wife told me or requested me or instructed me, whichever you want, you can use it. Please return the house before 10 p.m. So my father said, return to the home at 9 p.m. and my wife said, return to home before 10 p.m. These are the two different provisions of a same statute. Let you presume it. Then, if I come by 9:30, then my father will feel angry and he was unhappy because he said return before 9 p.m. If I come at 10:30, of course, when I come at 9:30, my father will be unhappy, but my wife is happy. But if I come at 10:30, my father is unhappy, even my wife is unhappy. But to resolve these two issues, 2 points of my father instruction or my wife instructions, and if I come by 8:30, then I can make happy my father and also I make happy my wife also. So this is the way harmonious construction would be there. Make the father will be happy and wife will be happy and both should be happy. Harmoniously the conflict should be resolved. Neither one should be happy, the another should be dead. Then the two should be dead. It should not be done. This is a lively example which I made it over there. And I hope that now you understood what is the rule of harmonious construction by that example which I cited. The father requested 9 a.m. 9 p.m. return. The wife requested 10 p.m. return to the home. Now let me go further. In the case of the Commissioner of Sale Tax, MP versus Radhakrishna, under section 46 subsection 1 C of the Madhya Pradesh General Sales Tax Act 1958, criminal prosecution of the respondent partner was sanctioned in this case by the commissioner when even after the repeated demand, the SSC did not pay the sales tax. This is about the sales tax. The respondent challenged these provisions on the ground that there were two separate provisions under the Act, namely Section 22, subsection 4, capital A, and Section 46, subsection 1 C, small c, under which the two different procedures were prescribed to realize the amount due, but there was no provision of law which could tell that which provision should be applied and in which case, because two different provisions are given and two says indifferently for paying the sales tax. According to the Supreme Court, the provision prescribed under Section 46, subsection 1c, small c, was more drastic. It was held that by harmonious construction of these two provisions, the conclusion drawn is that Commissioner had a judicial discretion to decide as to which procedure to be followed in which case. Whatever the Commissioner will fail to act judicially, the court will have the right to intervene. However, in this case, the Commissioner correctly decided that the more drastic procedure under Section 46, subsection 1c, deserved to be followed because of the failure of the SSC firm in paying sales tax despite the repeated demands by the sales tax officer. Now, 46(1)(c) only followed. The other section which is cited will not be followed. Now we will come the next case law, in re Kerala Education Bill case 1957. The Supreme Court uses the rule of harmonious construction and ruled that there is no inherent conflict between the fundamental rights and directive principle of state policy, and that they together constitute an integrated scheme. They constitute a comprehensive social and administrative program for a modern democratic state. They are in fact supplementary and complementary to each other. Therefore, one has to make efforts as far as possible to avoid any conflict among them. They run parallel to each other, and the none is subordinate to the other by following the doctrine of harmonious construction or interpretation. Now let me see the points. If the two interpretations of law are possible, and if one interpretation violates the harmony between the two while the other reinforces the harmony, the later interpretation shall be accepted over the former. Number 2. However, if there is only one interpretation that is a conflict in them, the court shall implement the fundamental rights over the directive principles, because Supreme Court is duty bound to implement the fundamental rights. In the case of Venkataramana Devaru versus State of Mysore, the Supreme Court applied the rule of harmonious construction in resolving a conflict between the Article 25, subsection 2, clause B, and 26 subsection clause B is concerned, 26b of the Constitution, and it was held that the right of every religious denomination or any section thereof to manage its own affairs in matter of religion, that is Article 26b small b says, and Article 26b is subject to a law made by the state providing for the social welfare and reform or throwing upon the Hindu religion institution of a public character to all classes and section of the Hindus, that is Article 25 subsection 2 small b. It is clear that Article 26b small b is subject to the Article 25 subsection 2 clause b small b of the Constitution of India. Thus, two articles are harmonized and conflict is resolved by the principle of harmonious construction. The principle of harmonious construction also applicable in cases of construction of provisions of subordinate legislation as observed in the Sir-Silk Limited case law. Yes, in the case of Sir-Silk Limited versus Government of Andhra Pradesh, an interesting question relating to conflict between the two equally mandatory provisions, that is Section 17 subsection 1 and Section 18 subsection 1 of the Industrial Dispute Act 1947 is a good illustration of the importance of the principle that every effort should be made to give effect to all the provisions of an act by harmonizing any apparent conflict between the two or more of its provisions. Section 17(1) of the Act requires the government to publish every award of labor tribunal with 30 days of its receipt, and by subsection 2 of section 17 of the award on its publication becomes final. But sections 18 subsection 1 of the Act provides that a settlement between employer and a workman shall be binding on the parties to the agreement. In case various settlements was arrived, and after the receipt of the award of a labor tribunal by the government but before its publication, the question was whether the government was still required under section 17(1), that is 17 subsection 1, to publish the award. In considering the two equally mandatory provisions, I repeat, in considering these two equally mandatory provisions, the Supreme Court held that the only way to resolve the conflict was to hold that by the settlement, which becomes effective from the date of signing, the industrial dispute comes to an end and the award becomes infructuous and the government cannot publish it. Hence, both the provisions are harmoniously construed and conflict is resolved by apply the harmonious construction. In the last case law, that is in M.S.M. Sharma versus Krishna Sinha, the rule was applied to resolve the conflict between the Article 19(1)(a), that is 19 subsection 1 clause A, and 194 subsection 3 of the Constitution, and it was held that the right of freedom of speech guaranteed under the section 19(1)(a) is the read as subject to power and privileges and immunities of the House of the Legislature, which are those of the House of Commons of the United Kingdom, as declared by the later part of the Article 194, sub-article 3 of the Constitution of India, and these are two resolved, the harmonious resolved, and the conflict, rather I can use the word, the conflict is resolved and harmonious construction was done. So, whenever the freedom of speech guaranteed under the Article 19(1)(a) is subject to the Article 194(3), that is 194 sub-article 3 of the Constitution of India. So, thus it will be harmoniously construed in that case law. In conclusion, statutes are drafted by the legislature and there is every possibility of situation of the ambiguity, conflict, anomalies, absurdities, hardships, repugnancies, redundancy, etc. In such situations, the rule of interpretation of statutes come to play and the provisions are construed so as to give maximum effect to them and to render justice to the situation at hand. The principle of harmonious construction plays a very important role in interpreting statutes and used in abundance of cases. It helps in simplifying the complicated issues and makes delivering judgment much easier. Therefore, like the many rules of interpretation of statutes, the importance of the rule of harmonious construction is also understood and felt by the judiciary. It was rightly said by the George Washington, the administration of justice is the firmest pillar of the government. I repeat, it was rightly said by George Washington, the administration of justice is the firmest pillar of the government. Thus, in keeping with this thought, the judiciary should interpret the statutes properly and intelligently, apply the rules for the interpretation of the statutes to render quick justice to the citizens of the country. The courts in every case harmonize the contradictory provision by interpreting not only the provision but also the original intention of the law or rule makers in order to give effect to both the provisions and ensure not to make any of the two provisions void or to destroy it. And that is the end of the today online class. Thank you very much patiently listening and observing my online lecture. Goodbye.